Hey guys, so today we are going to be talking about Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst. This is the first book in the Queens of Renthia trilogy, and we are going to be having a spoiler-free review and discussion about the first book in this series. So, Queen of Blood is set in this like really cool foresty setting where we follow one main girl named Delina, and we follow her from I think age 7 up until like 20s, okay? And in the very beginning of the book, her village is like slaughtered by the spirits of the forest, and that's how we kind of learn that these spirits of earth and fire and water and wind are very malevolent, and they just attack people and they just kill to kill, and like that's kind of their just primal desires is to destroy. And we have our other person, we have this queen who is like the holder of all magic basically in this world, and she is the one that controls all these spirits and keeps them from basically killing people. So we can see at the very beginning of the book that maybe this queen's power is kind of slipping. And in this world, when a queen's power starts to slip, they have a coronation basically, and she ends up dying and a new queen is chosen from a group of girls that go to this kind of academy, and they train and they become what they call heirs, and they can also control the different spirits, but not to the extent of the queen. Like when the queen is chosen, they just take on all this power, and it's just an insane amount of power, and they can protect their entire country basically. So that's kind of where we at. Her whole family is slaughtered, and then her family's fine. Her whole like village is slaughtered, and then she ends up growing up to go to this academy and train to be an heir. This book was so cool. I absolutely loved it. It was so different than I think our traditional fantasies are, and I think it's really solidified that Sarah Beth Durst might be a new favorite author of mine, because I read The Bone Maker earlier this year, absolutely loved it, read this, absolutely loved it, so I'm really excited to read the rest of this series and then read more. There are 3 books in this series, and then like a standalone spin-off that's set in the same world but just in a different location, and I'm really excited to get to the rest of them because this was so good. And I highly recommend you pick it up because I don't think enough people talk about this one. I know Elliot Brooks has talked about it and reviewed it, and I think she did a fantastic job, so definitely go check out her review of this series. But I just want more people to read it. So we're gonna go into kind of my pros and cons. I'll be honest, there's definitely way more pros than cons, but that's because I really just enjoyed this book thoroughly. As far as the pros go, we'll start there. I thought this was such a cool setting. The forest setting, like there's these trees and everybody like lives in trees, and they travel via like zip lines basically. Like you can travel across like the floor of the forest, you can travel across like bridges, and then there's like zip lines basically. And I just thought it was so cool. Like the houses are built into the trees, and like the palace is made out of like trees, and I just loved it so much. The only like little thing is I didn't really get a feel for how big the characters are. So for some reason, this whole idea of them like living in trees and traveling on zip lines and stuff made me feel like they're like Thumbelina size, which they're not. They're regular people. They're regular human size, but like I just got this like Thumbelina vision in my head for this book, and it was very difficult to like be like, no, they're real size people, just they're living in really big trees. So that's the thing. But it was so cool. Like the setting was just so cool. I absolutely love like this foresty, naturey setting. There was also a very minimal romance in this book. There was a romance, there was 2 actually, but it was so minimal that, and so well done as well. Like it was believable and well done and minimal. Like it's not a part of the plot really. It's just kind of there. It's very on the back burner, and you know, I'm not in this to read a romance. I'm in this to read a really kick-ass fantasy story, and that's what I got. And then like there's some romance on the side, which I greatly appreciated. I thought it was well done. I actually really loved our male like romantic lead basically in this book, because he's just very cinnamon roll. He's very sweet and caring and would do absolutely anything. There's no love triangles, none of that, no craziness, no miscommunication. It's just like two people that really like each other. He's super sweet, she's kind of a badass, and she, you know, is just like a really complicated character, and they fall for each other, and they have some issues here and there, but it's not like a big deal. And then the other romance is one that was like established off screen like long before the book starts, and it's just kind of like mentioned here and there. There's a fade to black sex scene, but nothing gratuitous, nothing crazy, and I really appreciated it because I felt the romance between those two characters, that's kind of like on the back burner as well, was really necessary and needed, and it made a lot of the plot make sense, and it made some of the character actions make sense, and it made some of the character actions much more heartbreaking and much more like complicated. And I appreciate all the nuances in the relationships in this book. Another thing that I really loved is that the protagonist, Delina, is not a Mary Sue by any means. She's probably the opposite of a Mary Sue, right? She's not good at anything. She's okay, but she's not like great at school. She doesn't like go to this academy and all of a sudden go to the top of her class because she's so good. Like, she barely makes it in. She's middle of the road, like kind of near the bottom, and everyone's like, I don't know why you're still here. Like, she tries really hard though. Like, she studies, and you get to see her working and studying and working after, you know, everyone's gone to bed, and just, she wants it so bad. But it's not like a case of where she gets it because she wants it so bad. Like, she busts her ass and works super hard and is still middle of the road, which I really liked, because not everybody is great at everything. And she does end up kind of finding what she's great at, but it's not because of her just being good at magic because she's the protagonist. Like, I appreciated that so much, because there's so many times where it's like, girl has magic, girl goes to magic school, she's all of a sudden the best in her class, and you're like, but why? Like, she's never shown, you know, the propensity for this before. How is she all of a sudden the best? If that's not the case, I loved that. We also have some really great female friendships in this book. And it's not like they're competing with each other. And I mean, technically they are competing with each other, but they never make it about rivalry and jealousy. Like, they all want to see the other succeed and succeed themselves, but never to the point of sacrificing their friends or like taking down another girl. And even our like one like antagonist girl is not even that bad. Like, she's in the friend group too, and she's kind of a brat, and she's the one that's like good at everything, but she's really not. Like, she's good at everything, really good at magic, but she still helps her friends when they need it, and she still, you know, sticks her neck out for these girls that she cares about. And I absolutely love the friendships in this book, which makes some parts of this really heartbreaking. Again, this book is not for the faint of heart. I mean, it's called Queen of Blood, so it's kind of violent, just so you know. But I love the friendships in it, because there's never that girl on girl rivalry where it's like, there can only be one. And it's like, no, but like, really, we want each other to succeed, and loved that. It also has the mentor trope, which y'all know I love. I won't get too deep into this, but it's got a fantastic mentor-mentee trope, and it's done well, and I absolutely love it. The mentor is top notch, and I just love him, and I want to see more of him in the next book. I also really loved the antagonist, and I think this is something that Sarah Beth Durst does really well, at least from the 2 books I've read of hers. She makes very sympathetic, believable antagonists, not villains, antagonists, and they feel real. They're not evil for the sake of being evil. They're not, you know, just killing stuff and being evil and villain monologues. Like, they're definitely more of an antagonist than a villain. And I appreciate that because there's so many layers to it. And like in The Bone Maker, that's how the villain was in that one, the antagonist. That's how the main antagonist is in this book. Like, you can kind of see where they're coming from and see why they're making these horrible decisions, but you can kind of understand. Like, even if you don't agree with them, you can kind of see why they're doing it. And I love when a villain antagonist is like that, so props on that. Excellent antagonist. And really, my only real con, and this may get answered like later in the series or might be fixed or whatever, is the earth spirits, or all the spirits, earth, water, wind, fire. I don't fully understand why they're so murdery. Like, it kind of explains it, that it's just like their nature. They want to build and they want to destroy. So they have like two opposing sides to them, where they want to create and they want to destroy. And if left to their own devices, they would create until it becomes destruction. And then everything will be destroyed. And that's why they need people to kind of rein them in. And that's why they need a queen. But then we have like some that are just completely out there. Like, they just run on their emotions and their feelings, and they aren't really super sentient, and they're just these like beings. But then you have other elementals that are super sentient and can have full-blown conversations, and they speak and they think. So I kind of am wondering if there is more to it than just their nature to destroy. Because I feel like there has to be some sort of resolution with like a compromise. And we do kind of discuss that a little bit, and it's kind of a thing. But like a compromise between like, you don't kill us, we don't like use you like we have men. And I don't know, maybe that'll be answered further on. Obviously this is a book 1 in the series, so it's not really like a big con, but it's just one thing that kind of had me wondering, like, okay, well, why? But like, why are some of them this way and others are like super sentient? Like, are we gonna get resolution to that? So I don't know, we will see. All in all though, I enjoyed this series, or this book, so much. I thought it was just fantastic, well done, well written, fast paced. Like, I was never bored, I never slumped. Like, I just wanted to keep reading it, and I read it super quick. And it's a pretty short book too, like it's under 400 pages, so you can really get through it really fast. And I'm excited to see what happens next. So if you have not read this book, you need to go pick it up. If you have read it, I would like to talk with you in the comments below. All right, well, thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie, and I will see you next time. Bye.